Okay, so this is a quick tutorial on support and resistance in trading. I mean, you can apply this to any market, whether it's Forex or stocks or bonds or crypto. It doesn't really matter because it's a pretty basic concept and principle and strategy and approach and method to break down the charts in whatever market and simplify what's happening so you can make better educated guesses. Because trading is just a game of betting. Whatever strategy or method you use, all you're really doing is kind of simplifying things so that you can better understand what is happening in the market and how it's moving. But at least for retail trading, I can't say this for like designing algos or algorithms or trading bots, but as far as retail trading as a human in front of the computer, that's kind of how it goes. Okay, so what is support and resistance? Super simple. Support and resistance is just a level that stands out where price got rejected. So you could say that this is a resistance zone and this is a support zone. So resistance is a ceiling of price. Support is a floor of price. So you can see that it rejected this ceiling, came down and rejected this floor and went in the opposite direction. So that's the super basic concepts of support and resistance. And honestly, I could just end the video there because that's all it is. People need to just understand that it's a super simple concept to use. So that's support and resistance. If you want, you could use a price level or a line like that to identify support or resistance. I like to use both so I can make it as exact as possible. So for me, for example, I'll highlight this zone as a resistance zone, and then I'll also put a key level of a line to identify that price. But the thing is, all of this is just rough estimates because whatever tool you're using in retail trading, it's never going to be exact because you're not a market maker, you're not doing high frequency trading. So everything is always an estimate, but you want to be as exact as you can, right? To help you make better educated guesses. So for me, I like to make it exact as possible. So for example, this is a resistance zone, and then I'll highlight that zone with a more exact way of estimating that price with a line at a specific price level that I think stands out. So for me, this is how I would draw my resistance or support level. You know, you could go down, let's say right here is a significant support level in price, right? And then you can also highlight this price level, and that's a support zone. So that's the basics of how I draw it and how you can draw it. Some people only use boxes, some people only use lines. That's something that you got to figure out with experience and time and your preferences. Figure that out on your own. So that's how do you incorporate support and resistance into a trading strategy or method or approach? Okay, so let's start with support. So let's say that I see this support level right here that stands out to me because price has been rejected around this price level area multiple times. It got broken here, but you can still see that it got respected here, 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 here. So to me, that's a significant price level. And also you have to keep in mind that any of these strategies in trading are going to be slightly guesstimates and arbitrary because no one ever really knows what price is going to do. They're only guessing. Unless you're the market maker and you have $1 billion and you're controlling the market. But I'm assuming everybody watching this video does not have a multiple billions of dollars and is in charge of a hedge fund. So, or institution. So let's say that this is my support level. How would I use this support level to trade? Okay, so we get a support zone right here. So how would I trade this? I can either wait for it to come back to this price because I know that in my mind it's been rejected multiple times at this price level. So if it comes back to this price level, there's a good chance that it's going to go back up, and then I can buy it up like it did here, and all these, you know, different examples of when it went higher. So that's one way you can trade it. Another way you can trade it is if it breaks this level, then it means that it's going to go lower. So I could look for a retrace for it to go past this level, come back up, reject this level, and then sell it down like it did here. If you zoom in, look what happened. It came up, rejected this price roughly, and then it came back down. So that's another way you could trade a level. But the thing with support and resistance is that it's only one simplified concept to trade the markets. You have to always combine support and resistance with another way of analysis, because at the end of the day, it's just one tool. If I'm trying to build a house, I don't just use a hammer. I use wood, I use nails, I use a hammer, I might use a chainsaw, I might use a billion of other things, a rope, you know. So at the end of the day, you got to understand that support and resistance is just one indicator, one tool, one way of looking at the market. But it's still very useful, and a lot of people use it. I use it. So you want to incorporate it if it's something that resonates with you and makes sense to you. So that's one way of looking at the market. And that's one way you would trade support and resistance. So in this example, if it comes down to this level, I'm going to buy it up, right? There's a resistance level up here. If it comes up to this level, I can sell it down. So whenever it comes to a support or resistance area, you can say and kind of guess that, okay, if it hits the support or resistance area, it can go in the other direction. But that's just one confluence. But that's how you would interpret a support and resistance level. If I were really to trade this, I would also use support and maybe a trend line break and maybe RSI divergence, which I can go through in another video. But you know, I would use multiple different concepts and incorporate them together, because the more confluences you have, the greater the probability you're going to be right. So if I see the support rejection and I see it breaks this trend line and I see this RSI divergence on the smaller time frames, you know, then I'm like, oh, it is going to go higher, or there's a really good chance I'm going to be right and it is going to go in the opposite direction. Then you would buy it up with a stop, and boom, you'd make that trade and make some money. So that's one way you could use support and resistance, or at least that's how I use it. And you could do the same thing when it comes to resistance levels. You can be like, okay, I see a resistance level that stands out to my eye right here. Okay, so boom, what do? If it hits this resistance zone and it breaks this trend line, and I see RSI divergence, right? Okay, I'm gonna get in for a sell, and it's gonna go in the opposite direction, and then you would sell it down, and with a stop up here, you know, sell it down there, whatever. So that's another way you would that's how you could use that to support resistance to sell it. But I never just use support and resistance. I always use multiple confluences. So if you're new to this and you're new to trading and support and resistance concepts, I would go through and, you know, practice labeling support and resistance areas. You know, I would back test, you know, and just go through and practice. Boom, there's another support or resistance area. Boom, there's another support and resistance area, and just practice that on multiple time frames and get familiar with it, because you want to get it to the point where it's second nature and you don't even have to think about it to really understand where support and resistance might be. And then from there, you can incorporate other like methods and concepts and trade, and practice those methods and concepts together and separately at first, and then join them together, and then you have a trading strategy that you can use on a daily basis to find new opportunities to buy and sell and make money.